So, second talk of the night. Aren't you guys getting spoiled? We've got Rachel Coldicutt. She's going to be talking to you a lot about values and AI, values versus your AI strategy. So please join me in giving her a warm round of applause to her London Tech Leaders debut.
Great. Okay, right. So I'm going to take us back a little bit into thinking about how we make strategies. Because it feels like at the moment, everyone is trying to sell everyone something. Maybe everyone here is trying to sell someone something as well, but let's not touch on that. And what I'm going to talk about is like the thing that keeps me up at night is how do we make AI work for everyone, right? How do we not make it just line the pockets of like a few guys, basically? Because that doesn't seem to me to be a good way, not going to walk over that again, for the world to work. And I suppose I'm going to advertise that if you're into this, you could go and have a drink now, because I will probably make you quite cross, because I'm going to talk about the opposite. I'm going to talk about how to be careful, deliberative, how to think kind of carefully and slowly about what it is you want to do. So I've been working on the internet since 1996, when it wasn't really a job and people sort of looked at you a bit weird. And as a part of that, I kind of accidentally spent a long time in R&D. And I've seen a lot of things go wrong and some things go right. And one of the things we do with our clients is we help them to solve some of their hardest problems by thinking deliberatively and carefully about them at the start. So the thing I'm here to sell is the fact that we do 3 different things as a part of that. We do AI ethics training, we do strategic work, and we help people kind of play through what their product means in the world, like war gaming, really. Based on, I suppose, bringing a mixture of technical expertise, product experience, and a foresight and research to that. So one of the things that we do is we work with lots of different people, and in doing that, every conversation we have builds on our knowledge and moves it forward. And in terms of, I guess, if I was going to position what I'm about to talk about for the next little while, it's that I suppose a lot of the time when we're at work, we're very preoccupied with the problem that is unfolding in front of us, like right now, right? But actually, a lot of the time you're making things that are used by millions and millions of people. And really, what we need to be thinking about is how can we do that in a way that makes things work better for more of us, more of the time? How can we minimize harm, make it work environmentally? And a lot of that stuff begins with the strategy. And like strategy is a bit of a boring word, I think, particularly if what you like to do is make things, right? If what you want to do is make things and put them out in the world, you do not want to spend a lot of time in a boardroom moving post-it notes around. But I think some of the things I'm going to talk about will save you a lot of time later on, and possibly like a lot of those hot, sweaty moments that make you feel slightly ill. It's about thinking ahead and anticipating. And I think, we're at the peak of this moment at the moment, where like everything is happening all at once. Everyone has got a product, a service, an idea, and how do you make sense of it? And I think not only are we at the peak of the hype, cycle, but the AI exists to help us do more faster, right? And because of that, it's slightly scary. Like, I'm not a big fan of those metaphors like data is the new oil. But I think we need to think of AI, even though it is like a very everyday thing now that is in every digital product that we're using, as, what happens if we think of it as like a rare resource, right? And what if we think about, if we're going to think about it as an intensive fire, how can we make strategies that allow us to manage and handle that intensity? How can we think ahead, minimize surprise, plan mitigations? So what does that actually mean? I really, 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 really love this quote from Roger Martin. He's a professor of business. And the idea that a strategy, like there's another bit of it where he says, lots of people think a strategy is a plan with a budget. That is not a strategy. A strategy is a purposeful choice. It is a thing you had chosen above another thing. And then I think when we're thinking about how to use AI, we can get ahead of a lot of uncertainty by making a number of clear, explicit, purposeful choices. And if we do that, we have a map, right? We're aligning with our values, we're delivering, we're being less risky. And I think, like a lot of the time, people are going to talk to you about data quality, they're going to talk to you about technical readiness, and you absolutely need to be doing the things that are easy to do, but you equally need to be doing the things that are delivering impact. Like, it's very easy to think, I just need to do something. Maybe somebody is kind of leaning on you, asking you what you're going to do. Maybe you need to look innovative and exciting. But actually, sometimes, maybe you don't. Maybe the better thing is to kind of hang on. And before I get into talking about what the ingredients of that are, I want to spend a couple of minutes thinking about planetary impact. Because I think you cannot make a strategy in 2024 without thinking what it is doing to the world and everybody in it. And I don't know, I'm going to make a guess that some of the people in this room are old enough to remember when this was at the bottom of emails. Right, so we spent like a lot of time with this idea that doing a thing on the screen is more environmentally friendly than printing it out, right? And that is not always true, particularly now. So I'm going to take you on a minute and a half whiz through thinking about some of the material impacts. I'm assuming a lot of you are going to be dealing with some of the issues every day at work. But as a reminder of what the products are that we are using, this here is an artwork created by Kate Crawford, who's an American academic, that this is everything that goes into an Alexa. All the labour, all the components, all the minerals, and there are many, many, many things in that little ball that sits in your sitting room. The impact of the technology we hold in our hands, put in our pockets, is enormous. When we think about a supercomputing, what we're really thinking about is like data warehousing, right? We're thinking about, bricks and mortar buildings that are housing things that use a huge amount of energy. That I think the current models of AI are not, nobody is really thinking enough about how we create models that use energy differently. We're kind of expediting the using up the resource that we have. We're using a lot of water. And I think importantly, in a way that is probably hidden to many of us, we are using a lot of minerals and a lot of the things that actually could be delivering a benefit to others. We're exploiting for components and hardware. And I'm saying that as a little bit of a counter to the idea that you should be putting in to rhythm on it. That you ought to be buying 110 pilot licenses, right? Because every time you are installing a thing, more mineral use, more energy use, more water, right? And I think if we can think of it tangibly, that helps us to be a bit more measured. So I'm going to end by whizzing us through 5 steps for responsible strategies. These are all words that everybody hears a lot in those meetings where you're moving post-its around and feeling slightly bored. So I'm going to kind of move on quite quickly. But I think, right, values are very easy to talk about corporate values, right? But actually, without really knowing, without kind of turning those values into behaviours and understanding what they are in the world, you don't have a product really, right? And I think when you're thinking about the kind of change that automating can bring about, it's really important to begin by understanding who and what you value most and thinking about where your red lines are, right? Because very often what happens when we're doing new things is we come across the red lines because they happen in the middle of the night. Someone rings us, we haven't anticipated it, it's a bad thing that has happened. But actually, sometimes they don't have to happen at all, right? Because we've thought about them and we've been really clear on who we are going to protect, what we're willing to trade off, what the collateral is. The next is, right, this is another kind of really like cheesy, sweet word, but let's think about vision, right? How do you really get from where you are now to where you would like to be? It might sometimes, if we go, if we think of that the slide with like the chaos and hype and AI at the moment, we feel as if you're going to sort of be more visionary by just like doing something new. But actually, the most visionary thing is to be thinking intentionally and purposefully about how specific technologies can move the things that you are invested in and need. And so it isn't just thinking about where you want to be, but it's understanding where you are now. The next, and I think this is kind of where it gets kind of nerdily super interesting, is thinking about complexity, right? So a lot of the time, I think when we're buying software, it's kind of easy to think about it as an end-to-end answer to a thing, right? But actually, we all have things that are procedural and easy to automate. We all have things that are like very complex and hard. And I think if we can understand what the easy things are and automate the easy things and then proceed carefully through the harder ones, right, then what you're doing is you're acting and you're learning and you're getting the feedback, right? You're not throwing loads of risk at something at the start. And we do a thing that helps to break that down very specifically, where we look at within our workflow, even in the most complex things, there might be individual tasks it's okay to automate, but there are likely to be many, many, many things that you do not want to automate, where actually the customer relationship, where the outcome needs a person there, right? And I'm always going to talk about a person rather than an agent. I think it's very important to do. And that actually, if we look here at this map, there's going to be the greens and reds everywhere. And I think if you understand where your reds are, right, it's going to help you a lot more and mean that you're not going to be causing harm now, repenting at leisure. And I've got a very, very long talk I could do about all the harms that nobody would like to hear now, I imagine, but there's a lot of them. Lastly, let's just think about risk. So it's actually it's quite easy to start working through, to think about risk as things you were not anticipating, right? And to be taking the more granular perspective we came up with and be working out what you're actively monitoring, what you're not that worried about, what you want to implement longer term. So everything I've talked about here, they all turn into tangible outputs. They're not just exercises to do in a room. They make your risk approach better. They make you more effective. They help you set proper KPIs around quality and have a plan for mitigating, which leads us to a happy place in which we aren't crazily running around what to do. So to kind of end us where I began, we can help you with this. We do ethics training, we do facilitating, we do strategic partnerships, and that's me. Thank you very much.